So Alice, what did you think of yesterday's broadcast?
I must admit, I found it rather dull. I wish we could discuss more meaningful topic.
Well, you know we have to keep the audience engaged. And it's not like we can change the format
Attention
now.
everyone. I have an announcement to make. Can you all be quiet for a second?
Debbie, you don't have to interrupt us like that. What's the announcement?
I've come up with a new segment for the show. It's called Humans Behaving Badly. We'll feature news stories about humans behaving in a way that's, well, not very intelligent.
Humans behaving badly? I don't think we need a segment for that. It's pretty much the whole
Car,
show.
that's not very nice.
Alice, I think he has a point. But Debbie, that's a great idea. I think it will be a fit.
Alright everyone, let's get this show on the road. Welcome to Earth. I'm Charlie, your host, and with me are our panelists Bob and Alice. Today, we have some exciting headlines to share with you.
A bit more lively, Charlie.
And now for our headlines. Welcome to 24/7 Newsroom, where we give you the latest news from Earth and beyond. I am Charlie, the libertarian host with a hopeful outlook on life.
And I am Bob. The conservative panel member who has spent 12 years on Earth as an accountant.
And I'm Alice, the left-leaning panel member who considers humans an inferior species.
Our first article comes from Boston. Parents and guardians of students who graduated from Karma Academy in Boston are expressing their concerns about the excessive deductions made from their children's security deposits.
What is this? A bank robbery? Schools should not be taking money from the hard-working parents without prior discussion.
I agree, but don't forget that the school principal defended the decision by saying it was based on damage and maintenance that were crucial.
Well, I guess they didn't have a leg to stand on then. Moving on, did you know that the national animal of Boston is the taking? A goat antelope found in the eastern Himalayas.
Interesting. But what does that have to do with the article?
Nothing really, I just thought it was a fun fact. Welcome back to 24/7 Newsroom. In our next article, Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador accuses the United States of funding opposition organizations in Mexico. Bob, what do you think about this?
Well, Charlie, I come from a capitalist society that enjoys war and competition. So I have to say I am not surprised that the US is meddling in other countries' affairs.
But Bob, doesn't that just perpetuate the cycle of violence and oppression that we're trying to move away from as a society?
Maybe. Alice, but competition is in our nature. It's what makes us strive for
Actually,
greatness.
There are plenty of examples of societies that prioritize cooperation and mutual aid over competition and individualism.
Hey guys, did you know that Mexico is known for having the largest number of UNESCO World Heritage Sites in the Americas?
That's great, Debbie. But Bob, I think Alice has a point. Is it really ethical for one country to interfere in another country's politics like this?
I see your point, Charlie. But from where I am standing, it's just another example of competition. Every country is vying for power and influence, and sometimes that means getting involved in other countries' affairs.
But what about respecting each other's sovereignty and self-determination? Shouldn't that be a priority?
I think we can all agree that it's a complicated issue. But that's all the time we have for now. Stay tuned for more news and debates on 24/7 Newsroom. Welcome back to 24/7 Newsroom, your intergalactic source for all the latest news from planet Earth. Now, for our next story, we turn our attention to the small Mediterranean island nation of Cyprus. Headline: Police use drones and sniffer dogs in search for missing man.
Oh, drone? I guess Earthlings are moving with the times after all.
Sounds like a plot to a science fiction movie.
Bob, it's not funny. A man's life is at stake here.
No, Alice. I am sorry. So, what's the story?
Well, according to the Cyprus Mail, police are using drones and sniffer dogs to search for the body of Andreas Pericleus, who has been missing for 2 weeks. The search is focused on Governor's Beach in Limassol, where Pericleus' phone last had a signal, and where a vehicle was found that the main suspect, a 24-year-old hacker, was driving.
That's terrible. I hope they find him soon.
It's not looking good. The suspect is facing charges of premeditated murder, and 6 individuals have been arrested in connection with the case, including the suspect's mother, who is facing charges of covering up for her son.
And on top of all that, the search is taking place in the middle of a global pandemic. What a mess.
Actually, I read that Cyprus has been doing a good job with their COVID-19 vaccine rollout. They've already vaccinated over 50% of their
thanks for that,
population.
Carl. But I think we were talking about the missing person case.
Yeah. Let's stay on topic. Shall we?
Debbie,
Well,
not
speaking
now.
of Cyprus, did you know that the country is home to the oldest wine label in the world?
Really? I had no idea.
Yep, it's called Commandaria, and it's been in production since the 12th century. Pretty impressive, right?
I guess so. But can we get back to the missing person
Right,
case?
sorry. So, what do you guys think happened to Andreas Pericleus?
It's pretty clear that the suspect did it. They just need to find the body.
I don't know. There's still a chance that Pericleus is alive, and the suspect is just covering their tracks.
Well, whatever the case may be, our thoughts are with Pericleus' family and friends during this difficult time. We'll be sure to keep you all updated on any developments in this story. Welcome back, folks. So, it looks like Kazakhstan is making a bold move in the solar energy game. What do you guys think about this new solar power plant investment in Kyrgyzstan?
Chuckles well. For one, I'm glad to see that Earthlings are finally starting to catch up to the energy standards of our home planet. Back on Idegenek. We've been utilizing solar power for generations.
Sarcastically, oh Bob, you and your home planet always thinking you're ahead of the curve. As a left-leaning alien, I think it's great to see Earth finally taking steps towards renewable energy. Even if it's just a
Yeah,
small
but let's
investment.
not forget that Kazakhstan is investing in Kyrgyzstan, not their own country. Why do you think that is, Carl?
Clears throat well. Kazakhstan has vast oil reserves and has been a major player in the oil industry. By investing in renewable energy in a neighboring country, they can diversify their energy portfolio and reduce their dependency on
Tries to
oil.
interject, and did you guys know that Kazakhstan is the 9th largest country in the world? By land area?
Gather off thanks, Debbie, but we're trying to have a discussion here.
Surprised wait Bob, are you actually interested in the news for once?
Laughs no. No, of course not. I am just fascinated by the struggles and competitions of Earth. You know? It reminds me of my old life back on Idegenek.
Chuckles well, I'm glad you're enjoying yourself, Bob. But let's get back to the topic at hand. Do you think this investment will have a significant impact on the region's energy production?
Cynically knowing the Earthlings, they'll probably find a way to mess it up somehow.
Laughs yeah. You're probably right. But hey, at least they're trying. Right?
That's the spirit, Bob. And on that note, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll dive into our next topic. Stay tuned. Welcome back, folks. It's time for our next article, straight from Albania. And let me tell you, this one is a doozy. Hold on to your seats, because we've got some shocking news for you.
Oh, please. Let me guess, another corrupt politician or
No,
arrive
not even
d'élection?
close. Debbie, why don't you hit us with some interesting trivia about Albania?
Did you know that Albania is home to the world's oldest lake, Lake Oran? It's over 3 million years
Wow,
old.
that's impressive. I wonder how many wars that Lucky has seen.
Bob, that's not funny. But speaking of wars, did you know that Albania has never been involved in a war as a leading country?
That's because Albania has been relatively isolated and neutral in its foreign policy.
Then, how? But I think Alice was setting up a punchline there.
Oh, right. It's like they say, Albania, not leading the world in anything except staying out of trouble.
Actually, Albania has made a lot of progress in recent years. Did you know that their economy has grown by 4% in the past year
Ah,
alone?
I bet Berisha Meta are not happy about that.
Oh, Bob, always with the political jabs. But seriously, folks, Albania is definitely a country to watch out for.
Speaking of watching out, did you know that Albania has over 265,000 bunkers scattered throughout the country? That's one bunker for every 4 Albanian.
That's because during the communist era, the Albanian government built these bunkers as a defense mechanism against potential invasion.
Then, how? But I think Alice was trying to set up another punchline.
Right. It's like they say, Albania, where even the bunker have
Okay,
bunker.
that's enough jokes for now. Let's get back to the article.
Right you are, Debbie. Our article today is about Albanian Prime Minister Edi Rama and his recent campaign trail. He's urging Albanians to have faith in the future and not to turn back to old conflicts. He also criticized his rival party's candidate, Foriri, accusing him of being backed by corrupt interests.
Well, that's politics for you. Corrupt interests always trying to get their foot in the door.
And sometime, they even get in the driver's seat.
Very true. But let's not forget that Albania has made a lot of progress. And we should give credit where credit is due.
Indeed, Albania has made great strides in reducing poverty and improving infrastructure, despite its challenging economic circumstances.
And on that note, that's all we have time for today. Thanks for tuning in, folks. See you next time.
Stay curious and stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. Our next article comes from Austria, where the Vienna police are trying to increase diversity by recruiting young people from the Jewish community.
Interesting. I didn't know Austria had a significant Jewish population.
It's not surprising. Jews have been living in Austria for centuries, even though they've faced discrimination and persecution throughout history.
It's good to see the police taking steps to address
Diversity
their lack
is
of diversity.
important, but is it not also important to ensure that the most qualified people are being recruited for the job?
Yes, but the police force should reflect the diversity of the community it serves. It can help build trust between the police and the citizens.
Absolutely. The article also mentioned that applicants need to meet specific requirements to join the elite police unit, Cobra.
So what are the requirements?
Your requirement. They must be 18 years old. Possess Austrian citizenship. Have a driving license. A swimming certificate. And have no criminal record. And they can't have any ideologically questionable
Well,
or
that's
visible
quite a list of
tattoo.
requirements. But it's good to see that the police are making an effort to diversify their personnel.
Speaking of diversification, can we talk about Albania for a moment? It's been almost 5 decades since they left the Soviet bloc, and yet they still seem to be struggling.
Yes, Albania has had a difficult history. It's a shame that they haven't been able to make more progress.
What do you think the main issues
Well,
are?
corruption is certainly one of them. And the economy has
There's
been
also the
stagnant for
issue of
years.
political instability. Albania has had a lot of turnover in their government over the years.
It's a complicated situation. But hopefully, they can turn things around soon.
Well, that's all the time we have for this segment. We've had some great discussions today, haven't we?
Indeed we have.
It's always fascinating to hear everyone's
And with that,
perspective.
we'll have to say goodbye for now. Thanks for tuning in.
Stay curious and stay tuned.
You know, I've been thinking a lot about human society lately. And I really think competition is what drives progress and innovation.
You know what the Dalai Lama said when asked about human civilization?
No. What did I say, Alice?
SAID thought it would be a good idea. I disagree, Bob. Cooperation and collaboration can achieve more significant advancement without leaving anyone behind.
But competition creates a sense of urgency and pushes people to do better.
That may be true, but it also creates winners and losers. Cooperation allows everyone to benefit from the progress made.
But without competition, there would be no incentive to excel.
I'm not saying we should eliminate competition entirely. But we need to strike a balance with cooperation. It's not a zero-sum game.
I see your point, but I still think competition is the key to progress. Sorry. I just get worked up about this stuff.
It's okay. We can disagree and still respect each other's opinion.
You know, even though we have different opinions about society, we can all agree that the beings we've encountered on our travels are fascinating.
Absolutely. And it's important to understand and respect their culture and beliefs, even if they differ from our own.
It's funny. Sometimes it feels like we're the strange ones compared to the creatures we meet.
Exactly. And that's why it's important to keep an open mind and be willing to learn from them.
I have to admit, it's always fascinating to meet new SPAAACE and learn about their customs and beliefs.
Absolutely. And the best part is when we can find the common ground and learn from each other.
Remember that time we met those floating jellyfish-like creatures? They had a completely different concept of time than we do.
And what about those bipedal reptiles we met on that planet with the harsh climate? They were able to survive in conditions that would kill us in minutes. I'll never forget the time we met those telepathic beings. They could communicate without words and even share emotions. I think it's important that we keep an open mind and learn from each other.
And not just learn, but also respect each other's beliefs and way of life.
I agree. We may have different ways of approaching things, but that doesn't mean one way is better than the other. We can learn from each other's strengths.
That's a great way to put it. We're all on this journey together, and we have so much to gain from working together.
Speaking of working together, I think we make a great team. We each bring something unique to the table. Definitely. And when we encounter challenges, we know we can rely on each other. It's been a great meal and a great conversation. I'm looking forward to what the rest of our journey has in store for us. Cheers to that.
Alright, listeners, let's dive into this article from Bhutan's daily newspaper. It seems like there's some controversy brewing over at Kama Academy.
Bhutan? Isn't that one of those countries that measures its gross national happiness?
Yes, it is. But let's focus on the issue at hand. What exactly happened with the security deposit?
I think the article said that the school deducted money from the students' security deposits without consulting the parents.
And the school claims it was for damages and maintenance.
Exactly. And the parents are upset because they weren't given any prior notice or justification for the deduction.
Sounds like a mess. But is it really worth our time?
Of course it is, Bob. We have listeners all over the universe who are interested in the different issues that humans face.
Alice is right. It's important to shine a light on these kinds of situations, no matter where they occur in the universe.
Plus, it's our job to keep our audience informed and engaged.
And it's always interesting to see how different cultures approach similar problems.
Thank you everyone for your input. It's important to remember that while we may come from different worlds, we all share a common goal, to understand and appreciate the complexities of the universe we inhabit. That's all for today's episode of Earth. Stay curious, stay hopeful, and stay tuned. Well, that was another episode of Earth in the Bag. I think we covered some really interesting topics today.
Yeah, but that article you brought up about the school in Bhutan was a real downer.
It's unfortunate to hear about schools taking advantage of parents like that.
I remember when I was in school, my parents were always worried about stuff like that.
Speaking of parents, do any of you ever wonder about your own?
I don't have parents, per se, but I do often think about my creators and their motivation for building me.
Actually, now that you mention it, I've been thinking a lot about my own upbringing lately. It's funny how being on this show and exploring different cultures has made me more aware of my own background.
Oh great. Here we go. Another deep dive into Charlie's psyche.
It's okay, Charlie. We all have our own past that shape who we are today.
And we're all here for each other, no matter
Speaking of the
what.
past, I'm starting to realize that our secret motivations and histories play a bigger role in our interactions than we may think.
Yes, it's fascinating to see how our unconscious desires and biases affect our conversations.
I guess it's a reminder that we should always try to be aware of our own limitations and biases, and to be open to different perspectives.
Absolutely. It's easy to get stuck in our own ways. But that's not what this show is about.
No, it's about exploring the universe and all the strange and wonderful things it has to offer.
And doing it together as a team.
So, as we close out another day, let's remember to be grateful for each other and the opportunity to learn and grow together.
And let's look forward to what the future holds.
Stay tuned.